tariffs. So what they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States, in which case they have no tariffs. In other words, so we're going April 2nd, but very importantly, tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start. So they're going to have a tariff. So what they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States, in which case they have no tariffs.
Welcome to Denim Politics. We are going to hop right into it, and we are going to speak about these tariffs that our President Donald Trump, has implemented on what I would think some people would want to consider our closest allies, Canada and Mexico. Both of those countries border the United States of America. Okay. So not only are they our closest allies in proximity, they are our closest allies in trade and everything else. Well, apparently, the Prime Minister of Canada and the Ontario Premier, Doug Ford, both consider these 25% tariffs to be an act of aggression economically. Okay. The Premier, Doug Ford, just canceled Elon Musk's Starlink contract and banned all U.S. companies from government contracts in response to Trump's economic war with Canada. Let me give you guys a little bit of history on this. In the 1930s, in 1930, the year, the United States enacted the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which sharply increased tariffs on thousands of imported goods. In response, Canada implemented retaliatory tariffs targeting American agriculture, and manufactured products. Canada's actions were part of a broader wave of global retaliation, which contributed to a significant contraction in international trade and further deepened the Great Depression. This trade conflict began to ease in about 1935 when Canada and the United States signed a reciprocal trade agreement. This agreement lowered tariffs and granted the United States most favored nation status in Canada, marking a key step in rebuilding bilateral trade relations. The current trade tensions between the United States and Canada bear notable similarities to the events following the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. In both instances, the U.S. imposed significant tariffs on imports, prompting Canada to retaliate with its own tariffs, leading to strained economic relations. The U.S. tariffs on March 4th, 2025, the United States implemented a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico, excluding energy imports from Canada, which are subject to a now 10% tariff. Canada's response: in retaliation, Canada imposed 25% tariffs on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods, effective immediately, with plans to extend these measures to an additional $125 billion in the coming weeks. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 similarly led to retaliatory tariffs from Canada and other countries, contributing to a significant decline in international trade and exacerbating the Great Depression. The current tariffs are expected to reduce U.S. economic growth and elevate inflation, while potentially triggering price cuts in major exporting countries like China to maintain their market share. The escalation of tariffs may strain diplomatic relations and disrupt established trade agreements, leading to prolonged economic uncertainty. In conclusion, the ongoing trade dispute between the U.S. and Canada mirrors past events where protectionist policies led to economic downturns. Both nations may need to seek diplomatic resolutions to avoid repeating historical mistakes. Take a listen at what the Canadian Prime Minister had to say, what Trump had to say, and also what the Ontario Premier had to say. Leave your comments down in the comment box because I would love to hear what you all have to say about these tariffs. How is it going to affect you? How is it going to affect your family? We know the price of eggs have went up to about $12 in some places. That is just the beginning. I'd love to hear what you all have to say. Thank you. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada, their closest partner and ally, their closest friend. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense. Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. At the moment, the U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time. Should these tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several non-tariff measures. Measures which will demonstrate that there are no winners in a trade war. Now, just like I did a month ago, I want to speak first directly to the American people. We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you. As of this morning, markets are down, and inflation is set to rise dramatically all across your country. Your government has chosen to put American jobs at risk, at the thousands of workplaces that succeed because of materials from Canada or because of consumers in Canada, or both. They've chosen to raise costs for American consumers on everyday essential items like groceries and gas, on major purchases like cars and homes, and everything in between. They've chosen to harm American national security, impeding access to the abundant critical minerals, energy, building materials, and fertilizers that we have and that the United States needs to grow and prosper. They've chosen to launch a trade war that will, first and foremost, harm American families. They've chosen to sabotage their own agenda that was supposed to usher in a new golden age for the United States. And they've chosen to undermine the incredible work we've done together to tackle the scourge that is fentanyl, a drug that must be wiped from the face of the earth. So on that point, let me be crystal clear. There is absolutely no justification or need whatsoever for these tariffs today. Now, the legal pretext your government is using to bring in these tariffs is that Canada is apparently unwilling to help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Well, that is totally false. Let's look at the facts. Our border is already safe and secure. Far less than 1% of fentanyl flows and less than 1% of illegal crossings into the United States comes from Canada. But we acted because we know we can always do better. We responded to concerns, including from the President, by implementing an ambitious $1.3 billion border plan. A border plan that includes generational investments in new AI and imaging tools to stop the flow of fentanyl in its tracks, stronger coordination and information sharing with American agencies, along with the deployment of drones, helicopters, and additional personnel to keep our border secure. Now, a month ago, as part of an agreement with the United States that paused the tariffs, we made further commitments. We appointed Kevin Brasseau as our fentanyl czar, a man who dedicated his multi-decade career in law enforcement to combating organized crime networks and drug trafficking. We designated 7 drug cartels, sick, evil groups who cynically profit off the pain and suffering of people on both sides of the border, as the terrorist organizations that they are. And just yesterday, we launched a new joint operations partnership supported by a $200 million investment between Canada's security and law enforcement agencies, a partnership that will enhance the coordination of information and intelligence in order to thwart criminal gangs involved in the illegal fentanyl trade.
The shelves. Also, starting today, all U.S.-based companies will be banned from taking part in government procurement. Every year, the province and its agencies spend about $30 billion on procurement, alongside our more than $200 billion plan to build infrastructure. U.S.-based businesses will now lose out on tens of billions of dollars in revenues. They only have President Trump to blame. I'm also urging all 444 municipalities to do the same. And I'm thrilled to see some are already stepping up. For example, Mayor Patrick Brown in the city of Brampton and many other cities. As part of this government-wide procurement ban, we're going one step further. We're ripping up Ontario's contract with Starlink. It's done, it's gone. We won't award contracts to people is off the shelves. Also, starting today, contracts to people who enable and encourage economic attacks on our province and our country, alongside federal tariffs and the measures my fellow premiers are bringing forward. This Team Canada's opening response.
What's up with you?